welcome to the next episode of CGI Talks. There is a saying that if life gives you lemon, you have to make lemonade out of it. Or to switch it to the Indian context, if life gives you lime, you make lime juice out of it. So everyone faces adversities in their life. And it's only a very less percentage of that population that changes that adversity to a positive note and uses those learning for a betterment of society. Today's guest is one personality who had faced a big adversity in her life when her daughter was born hearing impaired. But then she went through the process of improving that condition, and those learnings she has used for the wider betterment of society. Now, some stories are already heard, and many of you may know her story, but these stories are worth to be retold because there is always learnings that can go on from generations. So for today, we have a wonderful guest, Srimati Ruchi Goyal, who is going to talk with us. Ruchi ma'am, thank you for having us.
Thank you for this initiative. I think you're doing a great job with spreading awareness about different topics. And I'm so grateful and glad that I'm here. Thank you.
Our honor. So as I said, many of you may already know your story, but it's worth being retold, even for new generations who are here. So we'll start off with your background to understand about how your beginnings were here, and then we'll get into the detailed topics of speech therapy and what your current activities are. So how did your beginning start in Germany? Which year did you come and which city was it, and how was the initial days for you?
So actually I came here about in 93 once. So I was 93 and 94, I was here. And then I just fell in love with the place because I love nature and it's amazing, the whole infrastructure, everything, I loved it. But then eventually we were in India for many, many years, busy with the job. I'm a catering college graduate. So loved cooking, so just kind of, with family, just taking care of the family. But it was in only 2010 that we moved to Germany. Mm-hmm. And then since then we've been out of the country, yes.
Okay. So which Indian city were you based out of?
I was born in Jaipur. So we've been around Bangalore, we've been in Pune. Both my kids were born in Pune. Mm-hmm. We have a home there. Okay. And that's I feel is my Karam Bhumi. Mm-hmm. That's the place that changed my life. Okay. Which started everything what I am today is thanks to Pune.
Thanks to Pune. Okay, understood. So 2010 itself, you were established, so to say, in Germany. And which city was that? Was it?
It was in Düsseldorf. We lived there 4 years. Mm-hmm. And then we were in Frankfurt for 1 year. Mm-hmm. Then moved to Jakarta for 4 years, where again I got really did a lot of good work there. And then we were back here in 2019.
Okay. So your husband is in the IT industry or?
No, he's a mechanical engineer, So, yeah.
Okay, understood. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay. So coming to the detailed topic, so this whole adversity that you faced in your life when your daughter was born hearing impaired, I presume it happened and you recognized it when you were in Pune, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how did that period pan out for you?
I think it was a miracle in my life. We were in Pune, and then for some reason, my husband had to move to Bangalore for a job. We had my child there, and then I was missing Pune in some way, and there was some kind of, I think, divine intervention. And my husband said, we are moving, the whole company is moving to Pune. And when do you ever hear something like this? Mm-hmm. So we came back, she was 2 months old. And, I was very happy she was born after many, many prayers. My son was already 6.5, 7. They have a difference of 7.5 years. And I was very excited. I wanted a daughter with dimples, curly hair. I was very, clear in my thought that I wanted a daughter. And she happened, and then we came back and I was to sing, and I'm very talkative, I love singing, I love music, dance, creativity. So I was very happy. And then actually there was a lot of stress too before she was born. I have 2 younger sisters who both have special needs kids. So that fear was also inside of me. But, when she's manifested as a beautiful, girl with dimples and curly hair, I said, oh my God, this is great. And then in my family, my sister-in-law, she said, you know what, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And I said, nothing is wrong. What is it? And
then one day. Which month was it? When?
It was I wouldn't remember the month, but it was somewhere maybe March, April.
Okay, so but it was before she was 1 year.
No, yeah, before 1 year. So it was about when she was 6 months old, and we were both sleeping on the rug in the afternoon, and she came and rang the bell, and she didn't wake up. And I said, "Oh, this is something." And as a mother, you always think, "My child is perfect. There can be nothing wrong with that." We are all thinking the same thing, that we are in denial. So we said, okay, we'll get the test done. We contacted the ENT because again there is no awareness back then. It was even worse. We just went to the ear doctor, and he said, "Oh, nothing is wrong, but if you want, you can get a hearing test done." That was the first time I heard about an audiologist. So we went to the audiologist, and then she said, "Oh, right now my machines are not working, and let's do it later. I'll call you." And I said, "You know what? This is God's sign. Everything is all right with my daughter." And in that time, I'm trying to talk normally and louder. See, she's reacting. My daughter was always very visual. And I said, "See, look, when I call her name, she's listening." And I said, "Remember, I manifested her, and her name is Prisha, which means beloved, God's gift. It took me 3 weeks after her birth. So this is definitely God's sign." So I think the mother inside of you never accepts that there can be something wrong. So eventually, long story short, we got a hearing test done, and I think it was the darkest and the most difficult day of my life.
Understood.
As I sat with my baby in my arms, and they had to give a drug to put her to sleep, and then we're looking at the audiologist's face, what does the expression look like? And there was pan face, no expression, and here those 2 hours were the longest and the darkest. And I remember going home, and every step I took, it was like there's a big ditch in front of me and I'm going to fall. And the next 1 month after that was the most difficult period of my life. I stopped talking. There was depression, crying. I would wake up and I would remember all those times I used to watch television. And I would see, if you remember, there used to be a little corner where they used to do sign language. And that gave me the most difficult time of my life, because I used to think, no, I had thought, I sing, I'm a stage person, I'm going to make my children sing, dance, and this girl is going to do all that. I said, no, this is not going to happen. I can't see her doing sign language. She has to speak no matter what. So again, we started, the same audiologist said in Pune that we will, get into speech therapy. And I said, oh, this might be just like 4 or 5 classes. She'll teach me how to talk. But no. So we got the hearing aids first. And she asked me, you can decide what hearing aids. It's not like a vegetable that I'm going to buy. I don't know technology. There was no knowledge of it. So eventually, because my husband is from the engineering background, so he kind of did more research. And while I was thinking of the money that comes, because the range was from 2,500 to 1 lakh. And I said, oh, we can buy something like in between, and then maybe we can just take that. And my husband just did a lot of research. And he had just bought a house that time. So again, the finances part of it was, So the finances, how do we get the 1 lakh rupees? So I remember I had saved some money for some diamonds. And I said, no, we'll buy the best hearing aid so that she gets the best hearing aid, so that she has access to good hearing. And then once we had the hearing aids, we would go for the speech therapy lessons. And I said, I don't know what it is. It doesn't click with me. And I would keep asking that lady, show me 2 or 3 children who are talking. And she would say, no, today is not the mood. They don't want to do it. And they even told us that, if this doesn't work, we'll do cochlear implant, which is about 20 lakh rupees, which means I have to sell that house probably.
So this was around which year?
This was about 2005.
2000, okay.
So I was, okay, I'm ready to sell the house, but if it gives the language to my daughter. And somehow every time I would go to the lesson, it was expensive. Back in those days, 150 rupees per hour, which is a lot of money back then, twice or thrice a week. So I was looking at how my money is depleting. I wasn't working. It gave me a very, very tough time. Nobody talks about it. I remember calling up every school, every person that I could think of, asking them, show me one deaf person who's talking. I was very clear in my head about that. eventually, and then you realize you need family support, you need finances, but suddenly everybody starts to like kind of, go back. Nobody's there, you're just sailing by yourself, you, your husband, and your baby. And I think that realization made me realize how lonely this journey can be. Some are afraid to talk to you because they don't want to hurt you. Some are like, oh, we don't know how to handle the situation. Some don't want to do it because they don't want to give you the help, or they are not capable of giving you the help. So I told my husband, this is our journey, we will fight it. Again, looking for support. Where is this hearing, going to come? I can see my daughters, I can do a better job than this speech therapist. I have spoken with my child, my other son. He speaks very well, and I think I know this speech therapy is not working.
Understood.
So eventually I started to look for help. Again, there was somebody who told us, I was very sad just before her birthday, and somebody said, go to this temple. This is another thing that we always do. Go to the temple, God will help you. I don't know, at that moment I was breaking. So I went to this Hanumanji temple in Pune, and I just sat there, my baby in my arms, my son on the side, crying desperately, because I think that was the first time I really cried so much. And I said, God, I don't know where to go. This speech therapy is not working. My daughter is growing. I don't know. I just feel very lost.
Understood.
Yeah. So eventually that night, I got a call from my teacher, Mrs. Alika Hutlikar, and she said, can you come for speech therapy from tomorrow? And I had got her contact from, that's the same audiologist place. I was sitting there, with my baby. And there was one girl, 18-year-old, talking and fighting with her mother. And I looked at her ears. Our thing had become, we used to always look at people's ears after that. And I said, she's speaking. And so my husband reached out and she said, can you come out of the clinic? She passed a paper with the number and said, if you can tolerate this lady for 3 years, your life will change. So we had contacted her, but she had not replied. But that day, maybe Hanumanji did hear my prayers. And the next day I went there. She asked me to sit at the back of the class while 5 kids, all Marathi, speaking. And I said, Marathi? And this old lady, what is she going to teach me? But then I saw all these children talking. Of course, their dialect was different and the way they spoke was different. But I said, if there is one person in the world who can make my daughter speak, it's this lady. And I said, come what may, I'm going to hang on.
Understood.
So that was the day my journey.
So I have a question there, sorry for interjecting, but my understanding for therapy or speech therapy was it's like a one-to-one conversation.
No.
Okay.
So we did it in a group. Alka ma'am always believed that we are never talking one-to-one with our children. So if you see the baby is born, when the baby is born, comes home, and everybody says, oh, look, Papa is coming. Oh, look, Mama is here. Oh, that voice. Can you put off this? Then there's a bell ringing. There is the Dadaji speaking, the Dadi is speaking. The sweepress is coming around. The helper is talking to the baby in all kinds of languages, everything. And the baby grows up. So the same thing should apply to this. You have to normalize that. But there is a specific way, certain rules that you have to follow. You have to train yourself to be doing that. So that is what it took me. I was with Alka ma'am for 6.5 years. I think I have never missed a class. Come what may, rain, fever, I was dying, I would just go. I was there before she came in. I left after she left.
So you were going as a parent or somebody?
As a parent.
Okay.
As a parent. So the thing is, the whole idea, if you can understand, this baby is going to see this teacher for 2 hours a week. How much can she talk to my child? And what will she understand? But if I am trained as a mother, I'll be spending the next 4 or 5 years with my baby 24/7.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to learn those techniques and then talk to my child in that way, concentration, breaking it down, little firmness, there's a lot of, you have to really become very strong inside to talk to this child. So that has to be broken down. So unless you do that, you can't. And then so I became this pivot.
Okay.
Prisha and I were like 2 peas in a pod. I think these 2 people came into my life like angels. I was at my low with, life not showing me nothing. But these people actually brought that, I would say, Shakti in me. Yeah. And I started to defy everybody around who said that this is not the right thing. Oh, this old lady shouts at you all the time. You are always formed with this little baby, poor little deaf child. I said, poor little deaf child is now. When she goes out into this big bad world, she has to fend for herself. Nobody's going to have pity on her. And I don't want her to grow up in pity. I want her to grow up as an individual. I don't want her to be a burden on her brother. If I die tomorrow, she should not be a burden on anyone. So these were clear in my head.
Understood.
So I started to, like, for me, that was the changing phase of my life where everything, nothing else mattered. No relationship was above her. To me, it was Alka ma'am giving me the lessons and I was passing it to her. So I would meet her twice a week. Whatever she explained to me, I was thrown out of the class. I was told by her, your daughter will never speak Ruchi Goyal. Get out of my class. And I would stand there on the steps with the umbrella. I remember that one day, she's having 102 fever, standing under that umbrella, I'm not going. She said, there's nothing that is new. I said, no, I'm going to stand here. You can do what you want. And so she knew, she had decided that she'll throw me out of the class in 6 months. So I remember standing there and I said, if I miss that even one sentence, I may be missing out the most important part of my speech therapy lesson. I would come back home with this baby in the arm, put her to sleep. I would write down the notes, and then I used to, because she was so strict, she used to make me cry. She had told me 6 months, I'll throw her out. But I hung on for 6.5 years till I moved to Germany.
Understood.
Then I said, okay, this is amazing what she's teaching. Nothing of this kind is available anywhere on the internet, which was just emerging. And I have to note this down and make it like my Bible.
Okay, so a couple of questions there now. We'll come to the speech therapy part. Because you as a parent of 2 kids, now obviously one kid, as you said, the elder one is, so to say, as we call normal, right? And the second has this hearing impairment. So as a mother of 2, how did you go through the process of balancing that, if I can use football term, fair play, right? So was it also a mental challenge for you to make sure that both are made aware that, they are special or,
Oh yes, I think, but I think like a lot of people say that your thought is, the way you think is very ahead of your time. When I had prepared my son already, so he used to write little letters to his, baby that's coming in a diary. And I used to say, whatever you want to write, Risha, write a letter to your baby who's coming. So every time he would write those letters to this baby. And then once the baby arrived, I made him a part of, her upbringing. But when we realized she was deaf, because our whole world was he was very possessive about her because he says like our baby, and then
so this came from him
as well. But it's something that you have to work on, especially when the whole focus is now moving from this special baby. For 7.5 years, he was one of my, he is my heart and she's my soul, if I can say now. The whole focus from my heart was moved to this person who needed our help. Time was running. First 5 years are so important. I had lost 1 year. So I have to make up in this next 4 years, because the child in the first 5 years gets everything inside very quickly. It's like a sponge that's absorbing. So I had to use that period. So in this 4 years, I have to use 5 years of language development, make a really strong foundation. So this means that he might be ignored. And in the meantime, she was 3, I think, and I told my husband, we can't afford this in India. And for better opportunities, I think you have to move overseas. So he found a job and moved out. I am left with these 2 children and my in-laws stayed close by. So, and plus I had to deal with Alka ma'am, who was always this person who was going to kind of be so strict. It was like an army thing that I was going through. So I started to speak to my son and I said, Beta, I need your help. Is it okay? I'm really caught. And he saw my struggle running to classes, looking after my in-laws, dealing with my daughter. I had no life.
He was around 7 years by then.
He was already 9 by then. Okay. And I started to, all that next 2 years, he also realized that We have to work on our baby. And he used to feel very bad about it. So he would just follow me and he would stay at home while I would go for therapy, take care of the house. So I made him very responsible and made him a part of it.
Understood.
And I also told him that how you're supposed to speak to her. So he was at times like a father to her. And I said, Rishabh, you are not a daddy. So I felt that part. And to this day, if you see both my children, they are like this.
Understood.
They are each other's support. Even if there are days I'm having a hard day and I can't talk to both of them, I have to just tell him, can you talk to Prisha? She's having a hard day at college today. Or Prisha, he's having a bad day. Can you just talk to him? So she'll do some goofiness or something like that.
Yeah.
So I am so happy that I could foresee all this was coming, and I built a very strong bond. So when I did a lot of these parenting workshops, I talk a lot about building the sibling and not having sibling rivalry. And I see that's not going to happen with my kids.
Understood.
So I make sure that they are very connected. They understand each other's problems. I often tell him because he's now 28, and oftentimes he tends to like, oh, she's too little. And I say that, at some point, both of you will be there and you will realize that you need her as much as she needs you at the same level.
Understood.
So I have made sure that he's engaged and involved.
Okay.
He's an amazing brother, and they have a lot of love between them. Thank God.
Good. So let's come to the timeline now. So then you had this 4 to 5 years period of speech therapy.
6.5 years.
6.5 years. And then this moment came where you had to shift to Germany.
Yes.
So you getting in touch with Alka ma'am, was it just, by the end, was it just a parent-therapist relationship, or when did it shift to learning this, art, if I can use that? The
day I entered her house, that was my first day of lesson.
Okay.
So I started, and I was trained on the job. So she would be sitting with the other children. I would be sitting behind with my baby who doesn't understand, is crawling all over the place.
And there were other parents also.
Other parents. All the mothers would sit behind. If you see my YouTube channel, there is a whole playlist, and you would see that I'm sitting at the back with other mothers. And these children would be sitting. Of course, Prisha is big in that, but otherwise she would be crawling. And then suddenly she said, oh, Chico, go. Did you hear that? Listen, I hear that sound. Something fell. I can hear a bird. And all the children with all that expression would get towards her. And we as parents, I forgot what was happening. I was looking at her. So I was so mesmerized with the way she was talking. Very soon, we were all talking like her. We are actually, when I talk to small babies, and I used to wonder, I was a stage person, I was a dancer, I was a singer, and I said, all that has gone. But guess what? Everything, I used it in that. And you would see, within a month, Prisha was responding to the sound for the first time. This is my second speech therapy place. The first place, she did nothing. And they were talking ba, 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 ba. Here, Alka ma'am said, why should you do ba, ba, ba? Do you ever talk to a normal baby, ba, 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 now say A, B, C, D? No. We are talking to that baby as if everything is here. It's focused because she cannot hear those sounds. Further away, the high frequency sounds will get picked up. So we have to make those changes. Certain things like fish, she can't hear fish. So I have to say fish, fish. I have to give a little exaggeration. Plus, I have to also use it in a context. If I say fish, if I say here means nothing. It could be this here or this here. So I have to say it in a whole sentence. I ate fish. Oh, do you see the golden fish? Look, that the fish is there. Oh, they're scared. So all those expressions kind of get this, even this 1-year-old baby would want to listen to this. And because for the child, mother is the whole and soul. So they're always looking for mother for approval. So I use that carrot and stick. So Alka ma'am used a carrot and stick for us. But I remember it was my birthday, after 1 whole year, she was standing on the top and then she said, wait, she came running down. And I said, what did I do wrong? Because I always came early and I would be playing with Prisha on the rug and talking. And she would be doing her puja and then say, oh, rubbish, Ruchi, what are you doing? Wait. And I said, oh my God, now today is going to be my day. But that day she came running down. whole year I've been telling you this. This is exactly what I wanted you to do. I remember coming home and just crying because that was the first time my guru actually told me that this, you are on the path of success. I use that entire thing, like 3 days, if I learned this, in these 3 days, I use that whole thing inside my day-to-day talk. The next time I went Thursday, again I picked up everything, used that, became part of my life. Monday again I would go learn something, use that part of my life. So it was integrating into my daily life. My husband had to speak the same language, my son had to speak the same language, my in-laws. I remember getting told so many things. I didn't care. This is what I'm supposed to do. I became like a chandi. So there were times that people said she used to be so quiet in this one, now suddenly what has happened? So we all mothers with Alka ma'am became all these like scary women, because we were out there to take care of our son and so take care of our children. And guess what? All these children in 50 years that Alka ma'am did speech therapy, all the children went to normal school, whether it was a pocket model or the most advanced hearing aids. All the children went to normal school. But of course, Prisha's language, if you see, you cannot make out that she's severe to profoundly deaf, because I think I raised the bar too high.
Yeah.
I would never settle for less. So even now when there are times she'll make some mistake and I said, no, it's not influence, say the whole sentence again.
Understood.
So even today, all her speeches that she does at school, all her lessons when she's giving a presentation for art, people don't forget that she's deaf.
Okay.
But I'm listening to each and every word that she's speaking, and I will tell her this is where you went wrong.
Okay. So before we jump into speech therapy, now one last question is: after this 6 years of period, you moved to Germany.
Yes.
So how did that also shift? Now it's not just one language or two language. Now we have a third language in future. Now, how did that shift happen for you?
See, for a baby, it's just sounds. You interpret it as a language, or as that. So whatever you are trying to concentrate on, they will pick up. So there are children who have picked up 3 languages under Alka ma'am. So I was very clear why I wanted to do English first was because it's an international language, and I just wanted my child not to be focused in one area and be left in Maharashtra, for example. I wanted her to fly the world. That was very clear. So we said we'll speak. Everybody shifted to English.
Okay.
And so then, but we also did like Sanskrit shlokas. So Alka ma'am would be doing that, the dancing, the Bollywood, everything was going around her. We use Hindi, but it's not there. But when we moved to Germany, we knew that this is going to be taught at school. So, but she had already had English as a base language. Here, she started to pick up German a little more slowly, but the moment it's more repetitions. She may not do high level, but she can manage her way on the street, because again, it's another language. Then you have a context. What does this mean? This means that. Vorstellen is presentation. So now she did that. We went to Indonesia, she picked up Bahasa. And now in Germany, she did her Abitur from FIS, and she got 7 out of 7.
I think that's a nice way of seeing how you learn languages, because we always have this challenge with diasporas who come over here with the challenge that, how can I pick up a new language? I think, considering your experience, normal people like us, we may be privileged that we can learn it, but then we give reasons that we are not learning. But as you said, language is just another sound.
Yes.
Just about how you pick it up, right?
In Alka ma'am's word, bathe your child in language. So when you say, the more you listen, the better you listen, and the better you speak. So listen, and speak. So it applies to them also, as well as it applies to us.
Yeah.
So here, the more we practice, if you can see, the more you challenge yourself, go out, you will do it. So people have this fear, no, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. So your body, you've already told your body, I can't do it. Now, if a deaf person can pick up 3 languages, come on, we can pick a second language for sure. It's just the effort that has to be great. Your dedication towards it. Like, for example, like Prisha wanted to pick up German since she moved to Netherlands. So I said, okay, let's join German classes together. And
Dutch, you mean?
no, so she wanted to stay in touch with German as well.
okay.
So I said, let's do German together. So we joined a few classes together so that we can pick up, at least she's in touch with that. She also has a little bit of Dutch, but because, Netherlands, everybody speaks English. So it's not as difficult. But here, whenever she comes, she's speaking, she can understand quite a bit.
Okay.
It's just that because of her hearing aids in an open area, it can be a little challenging. There are certain restrictions and restraints, so which we have to understand.
Okay, understood. So, so coming to Germany, did you then have to place her in the normal school system, or did they first decide to put her in special care schools where she picks it up?
So in India, she was in a normal school. Now she could hear the way it is and with her limitations. But when we came here, we put her in an International School of Düsseldorf.
Okay.
She was there. But again, when we put her there, the teacher said, after 2 months, we don't know. She doesn't come and talk to us, and we let her be in a corner, and we don't know how to help her. And I said, why didn't you ask me before I came in that how you're supposed to help her? So then I knew it's my journey again, that I have to jump in. And I had also taken a break. It was a very tough life in India. So when I came here, I just got so relaxed and I saw pressure regressing. So I had to pull her from there. And so I realized that unless I am hands-on, I've done workshops on this as well about how parent, teacher and child, it's like a three-wheel that have to go together. Otherwise it doesn't work. Okay. So what I did was, I knew the teacher's limitation is so much because there are 19 students. So she cannot give even 19 minutes in a day to my daughter. So I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to again change my strategy. So what I did was I started to find out what is the lesson that they're talking about, what they're talking about at school, what are they teaching. So it was the first lesson, and where are we in this world and time? And I said, this is like abstract for me as well. And for her, abstract is always complex. So of course, I kept in touch with a couple of mothers. We started working at home. I did a lot of reading, lot of conversations. I introduced mind maps to her, which is a great tool for children.
Yeah.
I also started giving her a diary. And on her birthday, and I said, you're going to write every night, you're going to write your journal. And you are going to talk about anything. You can talk about how much you hate your mother because she's so strict. I don't care, and I will never read. So both my kids actually have a journal, and this is something I advise to all the parents who I've been mentoring, that journaling is important. The child is able to vent out as well as also understand where they are. So both my children, if you meet them, they are very strong that way because they know themselves very well, and I feel that it is important to empower them. So the teachers saw that in that winter, every day from 9 to 5, Prisha and I were on the dining table. She said, I want to write a book of stories. So every day there was one story, and it was every day just about to get 10 sentences, took us the whole day. And then to make it a little easy for her, kind of, nice schooling thing was to draw an illustration. Then we did art and craft. So we still have this. And then the last 2 days, she made the cover of the book. Every night, I would tell her, tell your brain that tonight I'm going to sleep, and in the morning I'm going to write about this. So tell your brain to think what it wants to write about. So can you imagine working that hard? Every day, one story. And then you had this book of stories, which is like a treasure to us.
Okay.
And when she went to the school, in 17 days, the teacher was shocked. She said, I have never seen such a big progress in any child in my entire career. So I always raise the bar. When people say you can't do it, I said she will. When they said she can't do music, I said she will play music. I said, it doesn't matter, start. So she played the keyboard, she dances to Bollywood, she edits music with a hearing loss, which is like a big challenge to most of us, even us, but she does it.
Understood.
So, yeah.
This reminds me of the story of Helen Keller.
She's an inspiration, yeah.
So coming now to our main topic of speech therapy and in the German context now. So initially, did you shift again, or did you continue the speech therapy process here, or you just used your learnings from Alka ma'am and then tried to change it to the German context? How did you manage it?
See, it had become part of our lives, speech therapy. So the whole thing that we spoke about was completely different. Now it was more like tutoring for her. But wherever she was making mistakes with the language, we would tweak it. But the school required us to do speech therapy lessons, So I said, okay, this is what you want, we'll do it. They said, no, it's required by the school.
Understood.
So I said, okay. So
by the school or by the government?
By the school.
Okay.
By the school also, they said we need, because she's deaf and they're not equipped. There are so many problems and they are not equipped. They're not a special school. All these international schools. So they have limited languages, knowledge about it as well. So we started taking speech therapy lessons, but guess what? The lady would ask me, how did you teach this child? And then I would be giving her tips as to how you can keep the focus of these children. Oh, these children are running around in the room, they don't listen. I said, my child, if you just tell her to sit down, she will sit for 2 hours and learn. Because we change the whole perspective towards speech therapy, and you make it so interesting. And when people say, how can you make speech therapy interesting? Well, you have to be interesting as a person. I mean, look at the physics professor. If he's boring, you're going to hate the topic and the subject. But if he uses techniques that make it exciting for you, he's also animated, he's excited, he's showing you different things, you're going to love that topic. You're going to love the subject. Okay. And that was how we were taught. We never took it as, initially the first few years were hard, but then we found language, excitement in everything. So be it like, even if there's a new leaf coming in a plant, we make it into a whole activity. So if there is like a wave, I remember going to Hyderabad with my baby, and we were in a ferry, and moonlight was there. Everybody was enjoying it, and oh, look at that wave. Look, can you see the shimmer? Oh, the moon is there. So with the whole excitement, the way you bring excitement to it, this was a very one example that when I talk to mothers online, I talk to them about one story. My daughter and I were walking, and she saw daddy's car, and she said, "Daddy, dirty car, dirty." And then there was a bird had pooped on it, and so I said, "Oh, this is an opportunity." So I started to find opportunity in everything, because whatever caught her eye is important. So I said, oh yeah, there was a bird flying there. And then it saw daddy's car. It came and sat down and did potty. And then she's like, oh, dirty, mama, dirty. I said, yeah, but bhaiya will come. And he will come. He will dip the water, dip the cloth in the water, squeeze it hard, squeeze it. And he'll clean the car.
Okay.
And this bird came, did poo and went away. It flew away. So the whole thing, and then she had to relate this whole thing. Dadi, birdie came, did potty and flew away.
Understood.
Bhaiya will come. So the whole thing, in breaking down into small sentences, then the Radhu has to hear. But imagine my condition, I have to hear it like 5 times.
Yeah, understood.
And then you have to recall. Remember that happened that day? Now don't worry about it. That day bhaiya cleaned it, now also it will clean it. So you're recalling. So all the time you're making these connections. So you as a mother have to be very aware.
Patient also.
Patient, aware, and you have to find joy in it.
Yeah.
Unless you find joy in it, how will she find? I mean, life is going to be so difficult. It is difficult.
Yeah.
But you have to make it interesting and exciting.
Understood. So I'm just curious over here, because now talking to you and seeing the way you express this, I understand that communication is not just words coming out of mouth. There's a lot of theatrics that you also have to bring in, be it your eye movement and your face expressions. So after going through this process of more than 10, 15 years, when you talk to a normal person, do you feel that it's not being communicated as it has to be? I'm just
as speech therapy, or
as a speech therapy point of view also, because I feel, or I'm not stereotyping, but certain people, they may have a normal tone of conversation, and it can be monotone and without any expressions on the face. So when you, having gone through this process, do you notice a difference that it can be a bit more expressive?
Oh yes, I oftentimes I do feel that that there is this joy that is missing, because when you have to feel that passion inside, And when you feel this passion, it'll flow through your eyes, it'll flow through your expression, it'll flow through your words. You may not speak the perfect English, or you may have grammatical mistakes, you may stammer, you may do, but that passion, it will show in your eyes, and it will communicate to the other person. It will also light up that other person's thought process, and it will also bring that person alive.
And this passion can change a hearing impaired child to speak.
The whole thing, finding joy in that poo on that car.
Yeah.
How many of us even notice it?
Exactly.
But I started to notice I became a child with her. So I grew down to that level. For a 9-month-old child, I have to be a 9-month-old child as well and see life through her eyes. So now she's 20. So I'm looking at her as a 20-year-old. How does she perceive life?
Okay, understood.
So you have to, you have to find joy as a 5-year-old. Find that little dead moth, and then look at his leg and look how ugly it looks, and you have to be as excited. You have to spend that time. Like Alka ma'am always say, it's your mess. You have to clean it up.
Understood.
So unless you make it exciting, or you have to find that something needs to be done to that child who needs your help. And if you do that, you will see that you will also make an impact with everyone else.
Understood.
So I did so many, like I got called for Femina. I reached out for my teacher, and they said, no, we do 35 to 45. I said, okay, I'll write my story from my perspective. And they said, my God, this is a whole topic we never thought about. So, this happened. Then I've done these international talks, and I've been sitting there and listening to other great speakers. And I said, oh, amongst them, I'm just a mother of a deaf child. But then when I start to speak, I see people sitting up. I did so many in universities, and against people like, I was one of those panel speakers amongst UNICEF. You name these international universities. And I was this just catering college student, mother of a deaf child. And they said, oh, what will she speak? But when I came up, they all made notes.
Understood. Wow, that's an inspiring note. We'll come to that, but before going into that, let's come to the technicalities of speech therapy, because you saw it in India, you saw it in Germany now. How different was it? And I think here it's mostly a government-funded activity, which you have to maybe go through, and maybe Krankenkasse is also included in that. So,
yes.
Do you think there is scope of improvement, or it's the same case in every place?
You know what? You have to be very lucky to find a good speech therapist.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why I started talking about it within a year of Prisha speaking, she was 2, and I said I need to start documenting, was the same thing.
Understood.
When I was looking for help, I barely found anyone who could give me any hope. So in Alka ma'am, I found my calling and my purpose in life. And I started writing a blog, which is called Impaired but Empowered. And then I started to compare the speech therapy that was being done around. So I could find no one like her. So I, of course, started to write and then record, document, whatever. And then when we moved to Germany, and I said, okay, now school requires it. And we went there, and there was this young lady who would take Prisha for 45 minutes. We were paying through the Krankenkasse. And I would ask her, what did you do? I played something, and then there was some odd thing that you were talking.
So parents won't go?
No, parents won't go. And twice a week, and all that snow and rain and hail and everything, I took all this, and I said, I have to just do it for the school's sake. Because the whole thing was, I was still teaching her. And much, much better. So when you're doing one-to-one, you're basically playing games. Now, for me, think about it. You are from another part of India, I'm another part of India. Your context is going to be very different from mine.
Yeah.
Now, again, we are Indians. Our context is going to be very different from the Germans. Now, they're talking about caravans. We are talking about a holiday, maybe in a retreat in India somewhere. We are talking about idli dosas and parathas, and they are talking about brotchen and kuchen and everything. Now, how it is made, and they have no idea. So, then you can see, how can the speech therapist influence you or help your child out in that room.
And this is not group?
No, this is not group. Now, you have to, when you're talking about speech therapy, it has to be starting when you're developing language, it has to be from your surroundings. That's how the normal baby also gets. You don't teach them about Germany, right, immediately. So you have to start from around you. Make them rock solid with knowledge, understanding, observation, curiosity, asking them, equip them with asking you questions. You sort helping to find out the answers. Then it will grow. We all grew from here to there. So today, if you're talking about certain things, it's because you grew from there to here.
Okay.
So your foundation has to be very rock solid.
Understood.
So that's what came from Prisha's home.
Okay.
I was equipped I'm a speech therapist today. I can give a challenge to, I have done that. I've had this big conversation on an international platform where this lady was talking about sign language. Every single question, every single thing that she had, I had a counter to it. She took the mic away from my hand because she could not take that anymore.
Okay, just curious, have you and Prisha learned sign language?
No,
Okay.
we don't know. And except that too, you'll be surprised that she was giving an interview for her university, and the lady on the other side who was the interviewee, one of the students, she heard that she was deaf, so she told us, "Thank you. This is how you say thank you." And Prisha said, "What did she do?" I said, "Yeah." Then we looked what it is. So again, how many people know sign language? Sign language in different countries is spoken differently. Indian sign language.
Okay.
It's Indian sign language, but Indian sign language, can it apply to Kerala, to UP and Maharashtra? They all have different ways of saying the same thing. Pani, tanni. So they're all different. Now, how do you define that in the Indian sign language? So if a person says it, how many people on your street will you ever find people doing sign language? So I was very clear that's not going to work for us.
Okay.
I don't want to confine her to, and I don't want to be tomorrow if I'm dead. Who will she rely on?
Understood. Okay, so let's come to the third part of your journey. Now, how am I dividing is, first part is your initial days in Pune when you saw this, then you had to restart that over here. And the third part is when you realize that, now you have to take things in hand and do something for the wider society. And that would be kind of our final part here. So you started realizing that you have to also start this off from your own, and that landed also in your current profile in the school, and you also help diaspora, right? So how did that start off, and what was that experience? Because till now your experience was with your child. Now you're handling children of other parents. So how did that turn?
So it's actually, I've been doing this for almost 19 years actually now. So what happened was when I knew Prisha is talking, I said, I started to document on a blog. I was very scared. I don't know whether I can even write. My first blog, somebody else wrote it for me. And then I started to say, no, I have to just give out what I feel, what I see. And then, through word of mouth, and then, of course, under Alka ma'am's guidance, there were new parents coming and asking, and then we would talk about, how can I do? I'm so scared, and Alka ma'am shouted, and so we developed kind of a sisterhood. So we would be sharing, and I said, what, this needs to go even further. So then I started the mothers would talk to me, and then I would share my notes. That's how it all started. And then when I moved overseas, there were people who still wanted to talk. So we started using Skype. So I would actually sometimes just pay. I don't take money because I feel this is the least I can do for this community. Yeah. God has been very kind to us. So this is my thing. I always do everything free. And so I would tell them. But the thing is, and then during COVID, I realized that there's a huge gap because parents are suffering because of this. So again, I opened up and posted on various forums, and I had over 50 parents during that time reaching out through Messenger. So they would send me, queries. I would have this one-to-one conversations. But the most difficult part, Arun, is that they don't want to work with their children. So they think, you do it.
Yeah.
And to me, that doesn't work. And I feel that unless you train yourself, change the whole environment, is not going to work. So, this has become like my, purpose in life, that if I can educate even one person, it will educate the whole family, and then maybe somebody else will, get information.
Okay.
So that's how it all started. So I've been doing it like just yesterday I had from Vanakkam, Germany, they asked me, there's a family that's moving here and they have these issues. So I'm going to have a conversation about it, how, they can look for help. I had no one. I had to do all the research by myself. It took us over a year to find out what we can do. So I don't want to do, I want to like have other parents, all that information that I already have. So this is one of the ways, like through Facebook page, I write.
Okay.
Or I have friends and like, people like whoever knows, they say, oh yeah, I know of a lady who has this, maybe you can talk to her. So whether it's a speech delay, stammering, now I've got a lot of people who came from autism, earlier autism. So basically it's a lot, sometimes I think it's also a lot to do with gadgets today, that parents don't have time, they don't spend enough time with the children, so they do not have that, so end up with a gadget 8-9 hours a day, so that is slowly, there is no eye contact, no language development, it is treated as early autism. So once the family started, I have had a very successful case, the family is so happy, another one in Dubai, one in Siliguri, they are, I see, if parents are involved, there is no story that you cannot change. If my deaf child can be an international speaker, dancer, artist, international speaker, anyone can do it.
Okay, so diaspora who are here, one factor that they miss is obviously community and wider family support. Does it also create kind of influence in the way speech therapy is offered here abroad?
So here again, like I said, it's 1-to-1, and it's, the parents are not involved. They think that they'll do magic. What magic can somebody do in 1.5 hours in a week when you do not spend more than 10 sentences in a day? Most of the parents are just saying, okay, eat your food. Oh, he's not eating, he's watching television. Now the language input is so limited. How will it grow?
If I can be the devil's advocate here, if it's working parents, their mental health is also a factor here, right? So how can we kind of balance that, so to say? So
I always tell the parents, I can understand both husband and wife are working, but even if you are together with the child for 1 hour, see how you can use that time to communicate.
Okay.
Because unless, the child is going to come back, I know you're tired. He's tired, you are tired, everybody's tired, we have to prepare for the next day. But then how can you use that 1 or 2 hours? Engage your child in day-to-day activities. Oh, beta, come, can you take out the dishwasher, stuff from the dishwasher? Oh, that thing's fell down. Can you just clean up for me? Oh, such a good boy. Oh, beautiful cleaning. Excellent. Your work is done. Help me to hang the laundry. I remember talking to my daughter, let's pull the bucket. It's so heavy. Come on, push it now. Come on, push it. So now she's learned push. She's learned pull. She's learned laundry. Oh, this is a red t-shirt. Whose red t-shirt? Daddy's or mama's? No, it's got long sleeves. So yeah, it is cold. So you're using this engaged. And then we would make silly jokes also. Oh, this is daddy's undie. This is mama's undie. So they find the silliness also very cute, right? So when you're using that kind of language, they know it's not speech therapy like I'm sitting here, I'm going to sit across the room and now I'm going to do speech therapy lesson. We have never been taught like that. You're making popcorn, let's make popcorn today. So that becomes a whole lesson.
Understood.
So when you're cooking, ask the children to cut vegetables. Oh, I don't want to cut. My child doesn't want to cut. Of course, he doesn't want to cut. Do you want to cook rotis? No, you don't want to. If you could watch Netflix after coming back and the food comes on the table.
Yeah.
So use that opportunity. Make it interesting with them. Oh my God, count how many beans have you got.
So basically use that, even if it's a 1 hour gap, use that time.
And it works wonderfully. So you are doing many jobs in one. You're doing speech therapy. It's occupational therapy, holding those bottles, balancing, walking with that, opening the fridge, learning those skills. Now I have 2 bottles, I have to open the fridge.
Okay.
So, Mama, open the fridge. No, put it down. So now the brain has to think.
Is happening.
The brain is also thinking, how can I do it? I'll have to put this down, open the fridge, hold the fridge with my door so it doesn't close, and then put it inside. So you see that.
So basic life skills is also being taught.
So today you'll be surprised how many children need behavior therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, this therapy. They're going to the sandpits classes where they can play with sand, but we did that. We grew up with that way. So my daughter was also digging into the thing, playing in the planting some plants and things like that. Messed up, cleaned, dirtied her t-shirts, and of course it's a lot of work. But then I didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
My child learned on the job. She picked up language. She understood. She knows how to manage her life. Imagine with severe to profound deafness, 18 years of staying together. She was sent to university to look after herself. She has to take the buses. She has to manage the crowd. She has to cook. She has to manage with the fire alarms. There's so many challenges.
Okay.
All by herself.
Understood.
So you have to find that.
Understood. Okay, so let's come to the final part of this now, because time, obviously, I would like to keep on hearing from a speech therapist, but we have to also bring this to the end. So how is it now for you, the future activities and your current activities? Like you have a blog, you have a very strong social media presence. You also have projects that you do in your school, right? So what are those things that you are offering to the community currently?
So for me, awareness is very important. This is very clear. So like I said, I started this blogging in 2006, YouTube. Then when Instagram came, then I started doing that. We were in Indonesia. I started these awareness classes in programs in classrooms. So wherever my child went, I started talking about that. Wherever I could find people who were ready to listen, share my story, I would share that story, and without fear and of being judged. I didn't care. A lot of people said, "You're getting fame out of this." I said, you will not understand it because you haven't seen the struggle. So I know that there's one mother who's looking for help. So I did that. We were very fortunate to get noticed by Phonak, and we made videos for them, which is the brand, like I said, Mercedes of hearing aids. So to be their brand ambassador, I've done international talks, especially in Indonesia. I was associated very closely with the Ministry of Education Special Needs. So she would take me around, and we were doing these international talks, awareness programs at universities. I went to Montessori schools, did a lot of workshops there, because again, Asia is more needy that way. Here, because government provides everything and people think that this can be managed. So people also kind of take a back seat there, and Asia and all that side of the world, you still have to pay for it. So people are ready to look after, do more comparatively.
I'm kind of blind about this, Ruchi ji. Does Indian diaspora in Germany and across Europe face this issue, and are there cases where they don't come forward or find a therapist thinking that this is a taboo topic and let's not?
Oh yes, I was also told, cover her ears so that people don't see that it's there. I said, we will tie her hair, let everybody see. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You're born with a condition, you have spectacles, my son has another problem, my husband has another problem, but this is what God has planned for you. So how can you use that to change your story? Make it your strength. Don't be afraid of it. So I've never kind of hidden behind all this. So, and I also feel the parents also, if you show shame, your child will grow up with shame. So he will also learn to despise and to be angry and upset. So if you ask Trisha, of course there are days she says, "Mom, I hate to be deaf," but not because she hates to be deaf, because she's ashamed of it. She's tired of people not understanding or struggling on certain days. But other than that, she's also talking about a story. She's a part of the Human Library in Netherlands. At school, we started Watchamea, which means my story, and we have created a platform on the lines of TED Talks. Where people share their stories. We are in the 5th year this year. I'm constantly on social media. I just get contacted by parents, and wherever there's an opportunity, I like to do these workshops. But problem here is, I think people are dealing with a lot of, you have to work by yourself, and a lot of, you don't have enough help, and then the life is pretty fast. So people, and also certain things are paid by the government, so they think that miracles will happen and child will talk. But then they don't realize, especially in speech therapy, because they are doing it mostly in German. That's very important for them, people to know it's in German. And the English one is really, and unless you are good with your language skills, you cannot pass that forward. So if you're going to be speaking broken English, the child will also be confused.
Understood.
So it has to be also in context. So parents have to be very aware of it. So when you're moving overseas, this is very important. I have I have made a video about this on learning of foreign language for Phonak. It's called Hearing Like Me on YouTube. I had put one video there which talks about picking up language in overseas.
Okay.
So it is, you have to practice. You have
It's an ongoing process. Understood.
So I mean, in India, speech therapy is different. Here it's different. But again, for us Indians who are speaking, probably most people I hear are Bengali or Tamil, Telugu. They have a more of a problem because they are talking 2-3 different languages at home.
Okay.
And then they have English at school or then German at school.
Okay.
And then again, around in the play area, it's mostly German. So I think that becomes very complex.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as counseling or consulting, as a final statement, if people would like to contact you, you offer support with speech therapy for kids who are hearing impaired, autism I heard, and other
language
delay and picking up language in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Anything else that I missed that where you can offer advice or support in?
I feel women have so much to offer. Again, that's another part of I think they feel a little lost. And one of the reasons, because when they move overseas, not every woman moves, doesn't do, picks up a job.
Yeah.
So they do feel lost. So some kind of, they leave that interest in the child as well. So find a purpose that will fuel you, give you enough, high to be able to fulfill your dreams as well as look after your child that is yours.
Okay.
I mean, if your husband is a stay-at-home father, that's also fine. I mean, but one parent has to be available. So do not think of it as a burden. So if you can't work, doesn't mean that you can't do other things and also look after the children. Looking after children is really hard. You have given birth. It's one of the most biggest gift to a person to be able to give birth to a baby. And you have this power to make or break this baby. So the future of this child. So invest in your children, because eventually one day we will all grow old, and these are the children who look up to us either with respect or hate being our kids. So we have to choose our difficult. We have to choose our battles. So invest in them wisely, find a purpose to balance it. So it doesn't have to be, I have a story. Doesn't mean you don't have a story. I believe, like Watcher Maya talks about, every person has a story to tell. Maybe it's about your cooking, or maybe it's your IT skills. Find where you can use your skills and learn something. Invest in yourself. It's not always about traveling. It's not always about fashion. It's not always about, I love myself, I will love dressing up. Do that as well. But then show up for your family, because again, it's a unit. Sadly, we are we are 2 or 3 in the house. We meet only 1 or 2 hours a day. So fulfill your extra, whatever helps you in the mornings. But when your child is home, invest in your family, because at the end, this is all that you have.
Wow. Dear viewers, we couldn't find a better message to do this final episode before the end of the year. So I'm glad to have Srimati Ruchi Goyal to have us for this particular episode. We are really glad to have you here. I don't think I need to add her links, because if you Google her, you can already find her information. But still, you can, I would put in the description her YouTube page and other social media channels. So ma'am, once again, thank you for being here. It was amazing. I know we have crossed our time, but talking to a speech therapy, the speech keeps on going on. So thank you for your time, and really appreciate you for coming here and sharing your experiences.
Thank you so much. I think you are doing an amazing job with this, and I'm so grateful that I was able to share my story. And if there is anyone who needs help or support in some way, I'm most happy to help.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.